Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld. I'm very happy to have two special guests here who will be part of the upcoming Exo Consciousness Conference, the arrival of exoconscious human beings. It'll be on Portal to Ascension, that's portaltoascension.org, February 6, 2021. I have the founder of the Exo Consciousness movement and one of her special guests here with me today, Rebecca Hardcastle-Wright and Darlene van der Grit. I love the ETs you're surrounded by, but let me talk to Rebecca first. And you started Exo Consciousness. I know I've done a bunch of interviews with you, but explain what that is and why you think this conference is so important.
The term sort of birthed into the vernacular about almost 20 years ago now. Long time, and it just came to me from the ETs actually. And initially, when the Exopolitics Institute was very young and we were all trying to fit in, we thought we'd be academic, and so we defined it as the extraterrestrial, or the study of the extraterrestrial origins, dimensions, and abilities of our extraterrestrial consciousness innate within humans. And then when we founded the Institute, we changed it and made it more applicable to everyone, more of an innate. So we defined it as the exoconsciousness is the innate ability of humans to connect, communicate, and co-create with ETs and multidimensionals. So it's something that we all possess. It's cosmic consciousness. It's in our DNA.
But you're already so many steps beyond people who don't even know they're ETs out there, right? I mean, people are not even at square one, and you're already, but which is fine. You're talking to the people who already know, right? I mean, like,
and I think that that community is growing every day, literally.
Yeah.
And especially now, I think with there's so much in the news about the Space Force and objects and TTSA to the STARS Initiative and UFOs, UAPs,
right?
Hollywood. In this 20 years, there's just been an explosion of cultural recognition of not only UFOs, but also experiencers.
What is the purpose of this exo-human conference you're doing?
Okay, we call it the arrival of Exoconscious Humans because we are a new nonprofit. So we're a new institute. The Institute for Exoconsciousness is a new institute, and the term Exoconscious Humans is a new term. And we wanted a way to show who we were, how we are living in a continuous communication and contact with extraterrestrials and multidimensionals. So everyone on our board is a long-term experiencer. So we're very, I guess you could say, seasoned, mature experiencers. We've integrated our contact. And with that is the whole co-creation part. So we founded our institute as people who want not just to talk about what their contact experiences have been, because that's been going on quite a while now, but we wanted to be able to talk about this is how we're living this life, this exoconscious life. We're co-creating actually with ETs and multidimensionals and bringing forth these innovations and ideas and inventions. And our vision is actually an exoconscious civilization, which we're just beginning to define what exactly that would look like. But
what take a guess. What would that look like? I mean,
that's going to look like a cosmic civilization here on Earth.
Mm-hmm. Like interfacing with other ETs, you're saying?
Interfacing also humans who have advanced abilities to connect and communicate with extraterrestrials, and their presence becoming more obvious, more visible. We're become more able to experience them.
Right. It's very exciting. I mean, everyone I meet is getting downloads and communications. And so you're speaking to an already evolved audience in a way. They're already in the know. And then there's also the whole population out there that's not in the not
or
known. Yeah.
or they could be just quiet about it.
But there's a lot of very dense people who are not into it at all, which is okay. There's always levels. But let's talk to someone who is. She's surrounded by some ETs there of that you drew yourself. Darlene, welcome. I know we've talked before, but I'm happy you're here. And how would you define your experience of being an exo conscious person? Yeah, if you want to put it that way.
All right. So, I've been an experiencer since I've been, I'd say four or five. I had an experience outside the family home, and it actually is in the family lineage. I believe my brother has been interviewed once or twice because he had a sighting maybe 10 years ago. My mother had a somewhat of an abduction. So it's been somewhat in our DNA for whatever reason that is. But in 91, I started channeling Eli Wazar, who is a being from Maldak. And that was about 5 years. He came in specifically to deal with a group that I was working with. And that was the first introduction of knowing that I'd be dealing with timelines. And that these beings, and what you see behind me is they wanted to be portrayed as the timeline that is most significant to us, so that we see them as more like us, even if they are different. They have families, they have emotions, they have issues, they had issues between each other. And so,
Yeah, no, just talk about timelines because I think we just took a strange timeline this last year with the virus and with politics. We've got kind of off the rails there a little bit from. So where are we in our timeline sequence, and how do we get back on the optimum timeline for everyone?
well, if you look at timelines, my work with timelines is that it's it's accumulative. So if you have a thread of something, that I look at it as a thread with pearls on it, right? So the pearls are the past lives or the future lives or the multidimensional pieces of ourselves. But the thread that goes through is the unfinished business that we haven't completed. And so when we address that one pearl, like present day, we handle something within ourselves till we clear it. All the string comes out, and the pearls are no longer holding the weight that they have before. So the timelines right now, we've had two timelines that we started to work on. So one is the one that has been here for a very long time. It's got deep roots. People are very steeped in it in some way. It's more of the malevolent type of timeline of where we are with in our governments, on the world in general. But there's been another timeline that's been created, I believe, from like the 1870s, that is really more what we're talking about. It's about exo consciousness. It's about masters and teachers. It's about multidimensional beings that are really trying to align with us in a way. So we have a choice, because this is a planet of choice. So what side do you want to be on? Not to create the division, but to more, where's your heart lie in relation to the two timelines that we're running?
Would you say though everyone's in their own particular timeline? I mean, we're sharing a timeline now, but when I retreat or in meditation, is the possibility of new timeline manifestations appearing at certain moments in our lives that bifurcate to other dimensions? I mean, how do we control the timelines in a way, or are they always shifting?
In the work that I do, they appear. So it's you have a specific intention, focus. That's big for the multidimensionals that I work with, is what is your intention? it holds a lot of weight for them. It's not something that, oh, I intend to do this, and then it doesn't get carried through. When you say that you intend to do something, it's like seeding the cosmic field, right? And it's almost, it's an agreement with them. So timelines can come and go. Yes.
Well, we're always on some timeline. I mean, if we're existing, there's always a timeline. But is there a base timeline, I guess, that is like of the highest order, and we go, you know, make a strange move and we go to another timeline? Or, I mean, just trying to figure out how to maneuver through the timelines.
Do you have anything with that, Rebecca, on
Oh.
timelines?
I was just thinking in terms of timelines. I think that there is going to be, or there is in process, a bifurcation of timelines, because as you talked about intention, and correct me if this isn't
No, that's right.
how you're seeing it, but so intention requires free will. Intention requires critical thinking. So if you're having an increasingly non-human or transhuman culture where your biology and your behavior is more in a machine type culture, a transhuman culture, then you may risk losing your connection to the field of consciousness. And that's where you formulate your critical thinking, your creativity, your intention. So if we as a species, as individuals, lose that ability to make an intention, I don't know what that's going to look like, but I think it's going to be a different timeline.
So
for
are there
some humans.
There's collective timelines and then there's individual timelines. Is that it? Is that sort of like?
Yeah, so I see the collective consciousness as the old timeline. We're bringing in the cosmic consciousness. Okay. And so there's a difference, a specific difference with that, you know, and it's all about choice. So where's our heart space? Where's our connection? Where's our intention? What is it that we want to create? Are we into the anger? Are we into the, you know, like what polarities are we creating in our life? It's about that.
Right. Can you talk about what the beings behind you have to say about all this? Like the guys with the long head. I've asked you before, but this is a different audience. So
well, actually, they are the Gemini brothers that are the tall whites. And so what I know about them, and so you have to realize it was like a 4 or 5 year period of time that they came in one at a time so that I could work through and understand their history better. So the tall whites, actually, a lot of them are working with us now in this particular time period. They are descendants from the Hathors. And so they work with healing capabilities. So there's a lot of healers that are on the planet that I think bring them in, whether they're conscious of it or not. And so that's about what I can. They told me they were the Gemini brothers, but they're really the tall whites.
Well, how can we interface with them, and how can we make ourselves available to communication?
So I work in the council room. So that's how I access them. So the council room is a teaching facility that was introduced in 91 when I first started channeling. And that's open to all kinds. This is a particular council that works with me and with others. It's not my council. But they work with other humans in different capacities. So when I go into the council room and they come forward, whoever's going to speak and teach at that point. That's why I have the paintings, because some people relate to them. Oh my goodness, this is, you know, somebody that I just saw in my meditation or whatever, you know, so.
Are these all different races, I guess, or different planets, planetary star system beings?
Yes. And there's 28 of them. This is how many? This is like 18 of them.
You're saying there's 28 that have visited us?
There's 28 that are on this council that come from various different. But there's many more. When you go into the council room, sometimes that council room is totally filled with beings that I haven't really seen or had interaction with either.
So for the upcoming conference, and I'll talk to Rebecca about everyone else, but what are you going to be particularly speaking about?
The connection, because my own journey, and that was something that they really taught me, is not only, what their history was, but what was my history, and some of them, what was my history with them, and what needed to be cleared, and what did I need to own. So it's that heart space, it's like how to keep your heart space open, how to clear your energy, how to allow the flow, and then what's the maintenance program to hold that all together, because it's an endeavor, it's not something that, oh, I just want to do occasionally. It becomes part of your life.
Right. And it is part of your life, right? I mean, it is
It's
intimately
an
part.
integration process.
Right. Maybe you could channel something later if you want to. Go back to Rebecca. I mean, do you want to later in the program?
We will see.
All right. All right. We'll see how the beings, but they're always with you, right?
Yes. But in different configurations, yes.
Right.
And they show up when, a lot of what I work with people is that I get that information, whether it's auditory or kinesthetic or.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here, Darlene, and we'll come
This
back.
may be
yeah.
a good place to sort of segue into how we
Yes.
organize the Institute, because Darlene was very instrumental in that.
Okay, yeah.
And so when we came together as an institute, and we've gone through a few iterations, but as we are currently today, we decided to be very intentional about the fact that this institute was not only for the humans who are a part of it, who serve as directors or advisory committee, but also that the ETs with whom we work are also part of it.
How are they part of it? How are you connecting with the ETs?
So what we do is most meetings that we have for the Institute, so most monthly meetings, we have either a question or an intention or an exercise. And that could be a question that we receive beforehand, or it could be something that just comes kind of naturally out of our discussions. But we all are accountable to communicate for our extraterrestrial groups that we work with.
How do they those show up for the meetings, these extraterrestrial beings? Through channeling?
For example, before a meeting, we could ask a question like, what direction should the Institute go into after, well, let's say after the completion of this webinar? What's our next step? And then everyone on our advisory committee, our directors, all come together, and during that time, we've asked this question of our extraterrestrial guides, multidimensional guides. We bring that information in then and fill the meeting with those communications. We actually did that we're going to put it up on our YouTube channel, but we actually did that during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, we had a session where all of our beings spoke to us about the pandemic, about COVID, about what that meant. And this is very early on. I think this was probably March, maybe. And we taped it, and we're going to put it up on YouTube. It's actually on our website, I-EXO.com. And it's just us talking for ourselves as well as being a representative for our ETs. Do you want to add anything to that, Darlene, about how we use that?
Well, I think that it's the unique thing, because Alan, what you need to realize is that when our group is together, there's an energy field that's within that. So it's not about us necessarily channeling. It's like we become what's coming through, right? So it's not us and them. It's the whole thing that is coming in.
Oh, I get it. That's really where you're going for as a planetary civilization. So it will be us with them, not us and them. It's all of us together. This is the ultimate goal of the Institute, is to have that on a global level, right? That feeling, that sense.
Yeah. And what I want to say about that is the unique experience for me is that when you get 8 people together, you tend to have a little bit of ego, or you have a perception that doesn't necessarily match with everybody. But when we do it this way, it just blends really well. There is no ego. There's no stepping over anybody. There's no, it's not like, oh, we're better than you or any of that. It really comes together as a harmonious, unified group.
Beautiful. Well, that's a good segue into some of the other people that'll be speaking on February 6th. I recommend everyone go to Portal to Ascension. This is the registration page. If you go to portaltoascension.org, event Exo Consciousness, or just put Portal to Ascension Exo Consciousness, you'll find this, and it's a really reasonable price for a whole day event. So we have Darlene, we have you, Rebecca, we have Sheila Seppi, who's become my good friend because we just spent 3 long days at the walk-in conference, which I also totally recommend. And I know a little bit about her. She is a walk-in, and she probably has walked in. If people don't know what that means, watch the videos on this YouTube channel. But I think she's probably a walk-in, like from other star systems, basically, right? And so she's bringing
Arcturian, I think she is.
Arcturian. So she is bringing a lot of other information in, and she'll be sharing that at this conference, which makes it really exciting. Then there's Nancy Datura. Is that it?
Duterte.
Datura.
Duterte.
And what will she be speaking about?
So Nancy is deeply trained in remote viewing.
Right.
So she's been trained by all the, I guess, the leaders and the mentors in remote viewing. And she, as a result of that, has put together her own unique brand, her own unique protocol of remote viewing called TSP that's extremely successful. And she teaches online courses in TSP and helps people move through that. But she's been very active in the psychic field. She calls herself a skeptical psychic because she's an attorney by trade. And she approached the whole world of psychic phenomenon as a skeptic and not as kind of a natural psychic person.
Right.
And so she taught herself to be psychic, which is exciting to be able to do that. And so she's going to be, she's written several books about it, and she's going to be teaching Introduction to TSP, how it works. It's an exciting protocol.
Oh, there she is. Okay, here I have the pictures up there. Sheila, that's Nancy. Do you want to go through everybody, or we're going to do more programs with other featured guests? But let's just take a quick run through it all. Okay, do you see all these people on your screen?
Yes.
So there's you, Darlene. Maya, you want to talk about Maya?
Okay, Maya is she is a hybrid. She is a recent experiencer, but only by virtue of the fact that she only recently became public with it. So she, I guess you would say, lived with the secret for many years that she was a hybrid. And because of that, she has a very unique approach to living as an, sort of bringing this forward as an adult when this has always been part of her life. And she's very skilled at branding and storytelling. She's a screenwriter. She's a ghostwriter of books. She's a producer. She does wonderful work. And so she's going to be training exoconscious humans that want to tell their story or want to share their skills, share their inventions, share their innovations. And so she's going to be giving a training on that. All of these courses that we're offering during the day are all aimed toward training us to become exoconscious humans.
I see. So it's a way, it's these are not just lectures. They are going to be actual
nuts and bolts
tools that people can, that That is an important point, and I think that will really help people sign up
Mhm.
for this. Who is Juliana?
Giuliano,
Juliana.
Giuliano Pizzotti.
Yes.
So Giuliano Pizzotti runs a group called Circle in Brazil. He's outside of Sao Paulo, Brazil. I met him a few years ago, and ironically, 3 or 4 years ago, he had the exact same experience of the word exoconsciousness that I had 20 years ago.
Right.
And so
Right.
he began working with exoconsciousness and then looked online because he was always looking Brazilian online. He looked on international and found us. And so we've just become, he's part of our institute. We're good friends. He's going to be talking about probably the #1 UFO personality in Brazil, which is General Yeshua.
Okay.
And he's made documentaries about him. But General Yeshua, he's kind of like almost like a Paul Hellyer that
Right.
had with a military background. He was with the military in Brazil, very high up, actually taught later at the military college. And he would go on national television in Brazil and make presentations about his UFO sightings.
Mhm.
And
Right.
he would just blow everybody else's ratings out of the water. He was so charismatic, and the Brazilian community is very conscious about the extraterrestrial multidimensional presence, very much
Mhm.
into spiritual healing, very much into channeling, mediumship, all of these different psychic abilities.
Great. And then we have Dan Brock.
Dan Brock, he is a very talented sound engineer, and also worked in film and Hollywood, currently teaches at University of Arizona. And he's just been a real gift to us because he does our videos for us and does a beautiful job. And Dan taught himself how to become a dowser. He's very active internationally with dowsers. At one point, he was working with a group in England that were dowsing ETs.
Mm. So he's going to be talking about how to douse
How to dowse,
the
and but
field, the
the
greater
field, the
exo
whole,
field. Yeah.
yes, absolutely, the exo field, and how to douse the beings.
Great. Great. And then Rodolfo.
De la Vera,
Yes.
Oliveira.
Yes, yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. He looks like an interesting guy with hierarchy of value structures. Your exo, that's interesting. How to restructure our worldview in a way, right? I mean,
Right. So Rodolfo is also from Brazil, but lives in the United States and has for many years. He works in the corporate world,
mhm.
and he's also very committed to the spiritual community that he's founded. And he's worked um, into the idea of sovereign moral humans as exoconscious humans. So he's going to teach us about how our morality and our values affect who we are as exoconscious humans,
Great. And
which is
there,
a very important thing.
no, how our values need to shift as exoconscious beings, right? We need to have different values that change how we act in the world. If we're just mechanistic materialistic people, that's not going to get us into an exoconscious field, right? I mean, that's what I
To
think.
say that the whole Brazilian community is
Mm,
very, that I've met anyway, is very, very committed to spirituality and integrating that into, practical values and practical morality, um, not just for the good of all, but also for the good of the individual. So
right.
the whole sovereignty of individuals, which
Mm,
is important. I think when you're an exoconscious human, you value that extraterrestrial connection, but we're really an institute that values humans.
Right. I've always said that the ETs make us more human in a way.
Yes.
Actually, and there I am. I'm going to do a short little talk about one of the great things that John Mack, who's familiar to a lot of people, Harvard psychiatrist, who really legitimized people's interactions, saying these people are not crazy. They're having genuine experiences. He said the phenomena is not going to become realized until we have other ways of knowing. I'm going to talk about other ways of knowing and show how we need to get over our logical mind, which is really ultimately just a conditioning, because there's been proofs in mathematics saying, well, there really is no ultimate logic, it's just a paradigm, it's just a belief system. So when we let go of one way of knowing, we start to tap into, I'm sort of calling it exo awareness, a takeoff on what you're saying. But exo awareness, and I'll go in more into that, is more of an apprehension than a comprehension. And so
I love that.
yeah, isn't that interesting?
I love
can't,
that. I love that.
I
And
can't.
also Neil is going to be
Oh,
presenting.
Neil Gar, the guy who made this all happen.
Mhm.
He
I think he's
he's
going to
the
present on his
Mhm.
work with the Mayan
Yes, I think he is.
information,
Yes, Neil
I
is a
believe.
great he's a great like modern day archaeologist in a way, anthropologist,
Explorer, yeah.
explorer. So, I think of course the Mayans had those long count calendars. They weren't just like curious. They were, I feel, portals that were opening to the stars, and the Mayans were tracking them with the intersections of those calendar dates. I mean, it was more accurate than any calendar since the modern day era, really. The Mayan calendar, the long count calendars, and they had many calendars. So yeah, that should be very interesting. Well, this is great, Rebecca. I think there is an audience for this. I think people will love this because people want answers. They want more accessibility to these fields. So how can people find out more about the Institute? I mean, and what
The
you're doing?
Institute's website is I-EXO, EXO, I-EXO.com. It's our
Okay,
website, and the Portal to Ascension site that you
right.
could just Google Portal to Ascension, Institute for Exo Consciousness, or I-EXO, and it would come up.
Okay. And we're going to be doing more of these shows with other people,
Thank you,
going
Alan.
deeper into the topic. Anything you want to say, darling? You getting any communications there from any of your people?
Well,
No pressure.
no, it's just that this energy that we have started and we're continuing it, and that it's building. I think that the biggest message is that this is our time. It's their time. It's our time. It's important. It has a value, and it's part of our evolution. So we really want to step in to what that means with them. And for me, it's just exciting because it's not known, you know.
Hmm.
We don't know where it's going to take us, but we can co-create it. And that's exciting.
Yeah, I think that's what real exo consciousness is about. We're stepping off the known into the unknown. And people always fear the unknown, but it's really they're fearing the known. The unknown is full of excitement, anticipation, possibilities, really,
Yeah,
possibilities. So
definitely.
thank you.
Yeah.
Anything?
One of the things I like to
Yes.
tell people when they say, "Oh, I don't know about ETs and I don't know about the work of the Institute," I always say, "Well, just wait until you see the work that we bring forward." I think our work will speak for itself
Well,
through
well,
inventions and innovations. And
tell me what you mean, but like specifically, what is that work that will speak for itself that you envision?
what I envision is, I feel that people who are exoconscious humans are going to be bringing forth, and they may be in junior high or high school right now, maybe be mentored by their parents or whomever, or find us on the internet as people are wont to do. But I think that whole generation is coming up of people who are going to be open to this in ways from childhood that we've never imagined. And as a result of that, those relationships that they have with extraterrestrials and multidimensionals, they're going to be bringing work forward. They're going to be bringing inventions and art and new ways of agriculture, new types of technology, new science, new physics, certainly new healing protocols. And so my comeback is always, well, if our healing protocols work, then that says something about our relationship with extraterrestrials.
Yes, it does.
It's benevolent.
I think they've always been a part of us. It's just now we're becoming more exoconscious, if you want to call it that.
I want to say something too, is that, people will say, well, I have enough on my plate. I can't deal with ETs or multidimensionals, but my experience and working with others that have a similar experience is that it enhances our life.
I think so. I think it makes us more human. It makes us more of a collective family of humans. It expands our awareness. It activates more of our thinking mind. I think there's so many reasons to be aware of the exo intelligence that exists in the universe. So, well, thank you. Thank you, Rebecca, for following your vision.
Yes.
And Darlene, definitely a lot of visions there.
Yeah.
But I look forward. So we're going to do a couple of these before February 6th. So definitely a conference everyone wants to be at and should be at to really understand the next level of our evolution. Exo Consciousness.
The arrival of Exoconscious Humans.
Yes. And you want to be there. If you're listening to this in any way, I think you should be there. Go to portaltoascension.org, look for the conference, click on it. It's very reasonable. You get as many replays because it's going to be 12 Eastern, going to 8. That is 8 full hours of, if you're not exo-conscious at the time.
By the end of that, right?
You will be.
You will be. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you, Alan.
This is Alan Steinfeld. I'm going to play a little trailer for the conference at the end here. So I'm Alan Steinfeld for New Realities. Thanks for watching, and I'm glad you all join us and will be joining us on February 6th. It's an important conference because it's about the expansion of ETs, multidimensional, and how we build civilization beyond the Earth. Organization that was started by Rebecca Hardcastle. She will be presenting along with all these other people.
I'm Rebecca Hardcastle Wright, founder of the Institute for Exoconsciousness. I would like for you to imagine being part of a community that accepts you as an ET multidimensional experiencer, a community who supports you and your ideas and innovations, a community that provides you with opportunities to share those inventions and innovations with your fellow experiencers, as well as all people on this planet. If you can imagine that, then we invite you to join us February 6th for I-EXO, the arrival of the Exoconscious Humans. We invite you to join our community, to engage in our webinar. We know that this future we are all creating together with ETs, multidimensionals, and humans. See you then.
Hi, I'm Darlene Vandergriff from upstate New York. I am part of the I-EXO community as an executive director. I am also a multidimensional mediator and a medical intuitive. When I speak to you at this conference that's on February 6th, I look forward to helping you to deepen your relationships that you may have not only within yourself and your heart and mind, but also the relationship that you may have developed or beginning to develop with your guidance system and multidimensional beings. They are here to assist us. They are much like us, and I look forward to helping you to understand that and deepen that in an expanded way. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.
Hi there, my name is Maya Christabel, and I'm one of the directors for the Institute of Exo Consciousness, and we're all incredibly excited about this conference coming up. As a hybrid, as a walk-in as well, for the last 60 years of my life, I am feeling that the conversation that we have between ourselves, between our experiences of multidimensionals and ETs in this human experience that we're having, are stories that need to be told. And most of us who have those stories to be told haven't figured out how to write them, deliver them, and create the kind of entrepreneurial presence that the rest of the world needs. So if you join us, my hope is in the contribution that I'm making, we'll talk about that entrepreneurial opportunity and we'll talk about your story. Please join us. We're looking forward to it.
Hi, my name is Juliano Posati. I'm from Brazil and I lead an Exoconscious School for Philosophy called The Circle. I will join this amazing conference to talk and share with you a little bit more about the life of General Alfredo Moacir Uchoa, which was one of the greatest names in ufology in Brazil. Uchoa was himself the very first seed of the exoconsciousness in Brazil. And you will understand all of these facts and connections between exoconsciousness and Uchoa's work in my lecture. I hope to see you then.
Hi, my name is Nancy Duterte, and I'm known as the Skeptical Psychic, and I will be speaking at the Conference for the Institute for Exoconsciousness on the topic of remote viewing, TSP remote viewing, which is a special brand that I have developed over the years. Remote viewing, for those of you who don't know, is a type of clairvoyance with protocols. So it is to help all of you, particularly entrepreneurs involved in co-creation of new types of products and services with our ET, multidimensional, and alien friends and colleagues. It will help you develop a form of better communication. So that's the goal here. I'm also an expert in exolinguistics, and I head up the entrepreneurial division of the Institute. So I hope you will all join us, and I think there's a lot to be gained and learned by this experience.
Hello, my name is Sheila Seppi. I'm a holistic healing practitioner, a spiritual teacher, author, and a walk-in. On September 22nd, 1999, I walked into the body of a 38-year-old woman who had 3 children. The walk-in soul is part of an Arcturian collective. And in my presentation, I'm going to share my entire story with you. I'm going to share with you the truths and the knowledges that I brought forward from the other side. I'm also going to talk with you about the anatomy of the soul and how we all begin as one with Source and we begin to separate until we finally become a soul. So it'll be my honor and my privilege to share my story and my truths with you. I look forward to seeing you soon. Namaste.
Hi, my name is Dan Brock. I am proud to be a part of the Institute for Exoconsciousness, and this February of 2021, we're going to be doing an online conference workshop. What I am going to present is the use of dowsing to access the universal field of information. As an experienced dowser, I have used dowsing over many years to access various bits of information that have aided me in innumerable ways. From finding water, to finding lost objects, to getting information and answering detailed questions. I'm going to present a number of different techniques, methods, and approaches that you can use to not only access the field of information and exoconsciousness, but also how to improve your accuracy. And I hope that you will join me and the others here at the Institute for Exoconsciousness in this conference.
Hi there, my name is Rodolfo de Oliveira, and I want to talk to you about values, how values build our frame of mind and from there affect our entire life experience. Although all of my professional training are in areas quite different than psychology and philosophy, I've been interested in those topics my entire life, which is why I feel confident that we can have a great dialogue about those topics. I hope you stay tuned. See you soon.
Thank you for being here for this, and you're going to really love what you'll see February 6th, 2021, Portal to Ascension, hosting the Institute of Exo Consciousness Conference. It's a whole full-day conference in the history of civilization as we expand from Earth-based consciousness to exo-consciousness. This includes a whole other level of reality, and I know you're going to love it. See you there. Thank you for watching.